The Best Christmas Pageant Ever is really great. The pacing is not good. It was a little slow to begin with, and then the rest of the film felt rushed. It is it's not a very short film, it's a feature-length film just at about 48 minutes. And I feel like the character development wasn't as good as it could have been, but what we had, I did enjoy. This was released in 1983. It's directed by George Schaefer, written by Barbara Robinson, and it's about a church Christmas pageant. And any child who wants to take part is allowed to take part. It's one of those setups where we have the main characters and then as many angels and shepherds as there needs to be to ensure that all of the children have a role, which is, of course, one of the great things about the Nativity. And the children are all very keen about this. They're looking forward to it. But then the Herdman children come along, and we learn very quickly that the Herdmans are not very likeable, and we see immediately that they're very dirty, they're very unkempt. They talk about the welfare visiting them all the time, so they clearly come from a state of poverty. And we do hear from some of the other children that they're just not nice to be around, not just because they're dirty, but because they're kind of unpleasant children. And because the Herdmans have decided they want to be in the pageant, none of the other children want to put their names forward for any of the main roles because they don't want to have anything to do with them. And the Herdmans end up getting the main roles of Mary and Joseph and the wise men. And the film is, after that, all about the run-up to the pageant, to the Nativity, and then, of course, with the curiosity of how is it going to play out? Are the Herdmans going to behave, or are they going to do well? Is the Nativity going to be an absolute failure? I'm not going to answer any of those questions, but I was really looking forward to finding out. And what we got was really entertaining. It was very slow up until the point where the Herdmans came into it, and that was only about minutes in, so it didn't take a tremendous amount of time. But the point there is that I initially wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy this because the first 10 minutes or so just weren't very good. But then after that, it was really interesting, but it does feel rushed. And I don't have any problems with films being under an hour. In fact, I rather appreciate it. If a film doesn't need to be longer, then I don't think it's worth padding things out for the sake of it, because it can then make things feel like they're dragging on and the pacing is terrible. But with this one, it's the reverse. I feel like there is so much more they could have done with the characters of the Herdmans. They could have allowed us to build that anticipation just a little bit. I feel like another 20 minutes could have made this a pretty fantastic film that felt really well developed with a really great pacing and a great amount of suspense. Absolutely, it feels rushed, but that didn't mean I didn't enjoy it. I guess the point there is that I really liked it so much that I wanted to see more from these characters. I wanted to watch the development at a slightly more satisfying pace because it was a really enjoyable story. So I do recommend it. It's not perfect, but it is still quite a satisfying watch. And if you have an hour to spare, less than an hour, and you're looking for a rather pleasant, if slightly rushed film that's got obviously a nice amount of biblical Christmas and some really great characters. The performances of all of the children in this are absolutely brilliant. I think they all did a really great job. And aside from the pacing issue, I can't really fault it. I thought The Best Christmas Pageant Ever was a really strong idea, generally well executed, if not perfect, with some really great performances. And I should also point out it's based on the novel by Barbara Robinson as well. I don't think I mentioned that. I haven't read it. I actually think I want to. It's very rare that I will watch a film and then want to read the book, because by that point, I've already had the images put in my head. I've already been told what the characters look like. Whereas the other way on, I enjoy watching things that I've read. But actually, this is a kid's book, and I actually think I might want to check it out and see what it's like. But either way, whether I check the book out or not, I did enjoy the film, and I am generally very happy to recommend it.